welcome back. A few months ago, I met a lady called Maria Davis, and she has Dress for Your Dreams. And you think, well, I guess it's a dress shop, or it's something to make us all look good. Well, it's far more than that. And she is quite a person, and I wanted you to meet her again. Maria Davis.
How are you,
Thank
Peggy?
you.
Good to see you.
And I got to start by just asking you, Dress for Your Dreams is a lot more than clothes.
Yes.
What is Dress for Your Dreams?
Dress for Your Dreams is a nonprofit that will help women at a disadvantage. And what we mean by that, those who don't have an education, don't have the necessary essentials in life to be able to maneuver to be what we would call a productive citizen in a sense. What I mean by that is the lack of a GED, the lack of job, or a lot of emotional instability that will stop you from being productive or achieving what we would call successful life for you and your family.
And getting a job.
And getting a job.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have a lot of volunteers, and you need more.
I need more volunteers.
But you have a minister, you have on your board.
I have a minister on my board, I have an accountant, I have a psychologist, and I also have a counselor on my board. But I'm in need of a lot of help.
This is, why did you know, this is an enormous thing to undertake. What caused you to do that?
As a child, I grew up in what we would call a dysfunctional family. Mother was a heroin addict, grandmother sold drugs. So I was that woman who was looking and struggling through high school and struggling through wanting to go to college and not having the support because the instability in my home life, which would have caused me not to receive the education that I needed if I hadn't had the necessary support along the way. Would cause me to go off to college, would cause me to graduate, because the issues that I dealt with financially in my home and emotionally, and the abuse that I had suffered would cause me to just stop and quit and reach for a lot of other devices in my life.
But you changed.
Yes.
Are you a Christian?
I am. I'm a Christian.
Never would have guessed it.
Yes, I am, and that was the change in my life. And the Lord sent people to sow seeds into my life, and that seed then manifested, and everything that I was searching for through the life of promiscuity, the life of a lot of emotional insecurities. I used to even drink. So I was that young lady, because what happens with us, we become so displaced and we begin to compromise. And this world has a lot of lures that will lure you to, if you have no sense of focus.
Absolutely, yeah.
It'll lure you.
Yeah. So you have become a victorious woman, and you have now the opportunity to help other young girls, and they need to know how important it is to get that GED.
It's extremely.
And to go, you help them go out and prepare themselves to get a job, to become a productive human being.
Exactly. We have in Greenville one of the most saturated, phenomenal places that have a lot of great nonprofits that do help women, but there are a lot of women still out there that won't reach for these agencies to get help, be it shame, be it guilt, be it oppressed or depressed. So going out into the community where they are and helping them to understand how important it is. One of the biggest obstacles that we are running into is that women do not have a GED or a high school diploma, and you will be surprised at the age that you'll find a woman who is what we would call uneducated, not having the necessary credentials to get a job, which makes it very difficult. Because there's, in a sense, if you've never worked, there's no Social Security for you. And most of them you'll find are on some type of disability of some sort. So there's a lot of different barriers and obstacles that stop. So what happens then, we the society then begins, the burden falls on us, because then this woman starts to have children, and then she gets on welfare, and she becomes a welfare recipient, and not only a welfare recipient, but then she begins to breed a generation, one generation after the next.
And you're trying to reach out to these, and I assume that you're reaching out to young women.
Young and older.
Yeah.
Young,
so there's
young
no
and
end
older.
to what
There's
you're-
no end to it. You'll find the age group, most of the women that you'll find, they're either from starting at 16 to 60.
Okay.
So after the last time I was on your show, and it was we've done a lot of great things to impact people's lives, and thank you for the opportunity. The women that called were older women. They
Isn't
were
that amazing?
57,
Yeah.
yes, they were 58,
Okay.
and some were homeless, and some did not have a GED.
But if you can reach the younger girls and make them understand and help them so that they don't repeat
Yes.
the same things that their mothers and their grandmothers had done.
Then you can break a cycle, and you can change a sense of community and then a society. So yes. And the woman is 80% of a home now, because the males are not there. Most of them are incarcerated.
I know.
So that's why it's important, and we're just petitioning the community for volunteers.
So first of all, your need is for volunteers.
We need some volunteers.
All right, now what does somebody, if somebody's sitting out there saying, well, that's a wonderful thing, maybe I could help. What do you need from a volunteer? What does a volunteer have to bring to the table?
Okay, and it's not much. A volunteer needs to bring words of encouragement and just calling and checking up on this individual and bringing them to accountability. This volunteer would call on a regular basis or be assigned to this woman to see to it that she's able to get to school to get her GED. And we're not asking them to supply with a ride. We'll do that, but we're just calling to keep in touch with this person, to, in other words, help motivate them to
Kind of
complete.
oversee this woman.
Yes, to complete the task.
And
because-
inspire them.
Exactly. To come out of the life of depravity and destruction. Because what happens is, if I've been there, I'm hopeless. And you'll find that a lot of women, they're in a hopeless state. They much rather be involved with a man who abused them, a man who is either on drugs, or a woman in a sense. And I just give up, and again I fall prey to what society has to offer, because I lose hope, because I don't have any options. I need some volunteers, I need some help. This volunteer would do that. The volunteer would take her shopping and help her shop.
Yeah, and make wise decisions even about food.
About food. We'll do financial training classes to help with budgeting. Most of these women don't have life insurance policies. Just the things that you would think that most people have in life.
Just kind of basic things.
They don't. They really don't.
And they don't know where to turn.
No. And knowledge-wise, even a simple resume, Ms. Denny, a lot of these girls do not know how to really format a resume or interview properly for a job.
Well, I was going to say, if you go right back to the beginning, you need confidence.
You do.
You need to be able to walk into a room and shake somebody's hand, and you don't have to have a $500 dress, but you have to be neat.
You do.
And well groomed, I would think.
You do.
If I were going to employ somebody, that's what I'd look for.
You do. And even knowing how to speak properly, to interview properly, even proper attire, even proper work ethics, being able to work on time.
Well,
They don't know that.
They don't know how to follow okay, 9 o'clock every morning, this is when I'm supposed to be at this job.
Right, because I've never had to follow a day-to-day routine. I've never had to do that. I've just lived life and just lived it haphazardly. And what happens is, a lot of these girls will get jobs and they're not able to follow the schedule adherence, and they lose these jobs.
Sure.
You know, why? Because they didn't have what we thought they did have, which are the very basics. So, and again, you constantly see this cycle. So we need people to, in other words, mentor and not pass any judgment toward these women.
Now, these women are all races. I mean,
Yeah, they are. They really are. They come from every nationality you can imagine. Greenville is a phenomenal place to live. It's become an outstanding melting pot. So you have a lot of different people here, and you have a lot of people here from an economic standpoint who are suffering. This economy has caused a lot of people financial distraught.
well, that's the other thing, because jobs are not so easy to get.
Right.
So if you've never worked and you have no experience and not much to offer, the other person's going to get the job.
They're going to get it. And there are companies here that they offer, there's child care, there's a lot of different things that are in place. But if you have these different obstacles, if you have no GED, you have no family support, you really have no place to live, and you're living with someone else, and you have no car to get there. So what happens is you stay where you are in the position you are, and you become prey to that environment. And if you're living with someone and you're living with them because of what you're able to give them, because of the assistance that you're receiving, when that cycle runs out, then you go and you live with someone else, and you're taking your children into these different environments. And over again, you have a lot of women who are writing bad checks. You got a lot of women that are doing a lot of burglary. You have a lot of women now in society where we're seeing more and more women that are killing their children. They're killing their children. They're abusing their children. Why? Because of the bare essentials that they need. And that goes back to what you said earlier. They're going to need that education. The way our society is being structured now, there'll be no welfare.
No, and there will be no jobs because the world is becoming more and more technical.
It is.
So that just a GED
It's not going to be
in
enough.
20 years, that's not going to cut it.
It's not going to be enough.
Because the technology, and let's face it, we have competition.
We do.
From China, from other parts of the world where they're really savvy.
Yes, and able to compete, because so a customer service position that would be 19 or 20,000. That's the average pay for a customer service position. Well, they could take that job overseas and pay someone $10,000 versus 20. And what happens is, again, it's not that jobs are not here. They are. It's just that people don't have the skill set to get the job. And then either you have some type of substance abuse where you can't pass a drug test.
Yeah.
So that's what we need volunteers for. We need volunteers that will come in and bring those words of encouragement to begin to help mentor these women, so we can put them in a better, different mindset, so we can begin to work with them and put them in a different position to empower them to be able to stay on the job, to be able to budget their money, to be able to live a different lifestyle than what they have been living before. I need volunteers for that. And when we talk about the time frame of the volunteers, if it's 2 hours a month,
Okay.
I'm not asking much,
Yeah.
because I know people have their responsibilities and
Sure.
obligations, but just something.
Now, you talk about dress for your dreams. The frosting on the cake is that if a girl has accomplished certain things and she's looking for a job, she wants to look nice.
Yes.
Or try to.
Yes.
So do you need people to come forward with clothes?
We need professional work attire for women to be able to go into the workforce, to wear the proper attire. And so yes, nearly new used business attire, we are accepting those
Okay.
donations, and it is a tax write-off for an
All right.
individual. So
Yeah, now we have a phone number, which is, of course, 864-386-0948, right?
yes,
And if you would like to talk to Maria, or perhaps think about doing some volunteers, maybe you'd like to make a difference in somebody's life. It doesn't cost you money. It just takes a little time and effort, and you can change a life.
you can.
And you're welcome to call that number, or maybe you're a company and you have some things that, you know, on the sale rack that they would love to have those things,
We
and
would.
you'll put them to good use, right?
We definitely would. We would.
Let's talk just a moment when we have left. You mentioned children.
Mm-hmm.
Many of these women have children,
They do.
but no husbands.
Right.
What kind of information do you bring to them?
When you have a woman that has children, her first We just dealt with a woman who was homeless, in a sense, and her mother wouldn't support her, but her father would, and she had 6 children. And she was able to go through the Housing Connection to get into that program. Now, when you have 6 children and you're on a limited income and it's just you, what do you say to an individual of that nature? There's still hope. There's hope by, one, getting you at another level as far as education. So once you get educated and you're able to work and go to school and get a better position, paying position as far as a job, then you're able to give your kids a better
And
way of
can
life.
you reach, I know you have a minister on your board, a Christian minister. Can you reach some of these young women and explain to them that having children with no marriage, no husband, that is not only unfair to the child, but it's a very,
It's a hardship.
it's going to stand in your way of creating a successful life.
It does. And one thing I could say to the younger women is this. Most of the women, younger girls, you might want to have a man's baby by him because you think he loves you. He doesn't. You know, most of these kids are young. What you'll find is when you have a child outside of marriage and there's no financial stability in it, it causes a horrendous hardship.
Of course it does.
In your life, and it stops you and it limits you from moving forward in directions that you'll be able to. So use the necessary preventions that are there.
So you try to really educate
them.
at every level.
Every level.
And I wanted people to know that, you know, you do have substantial people on your board.
Oh, we
And
have
so,
a phenomenal group.
Yeah, if you want more information about Dress for Your Dreams, I'll keep the number here if you didn't get it. This is an outreach right here in our community that can and does make a difference. And these things don't happen overnight.
No.
It's an ongoing.
It's ongoing. It's ongoing. And the beauty of Dress is follow up. Follow up. Follow up. Follow up to see where you are and what's going on. It's not a one touch, it's a follow up. And that's why we need volunteers. Volunteers that will follow up to help create a history in the lives of these people. Thank you.
Bless
Peggy.
you, Maria.
Thank
Maria
you.
Davis. There's living proof. Things do change. Wherever you are, we wish you joy. We'll see you tomorrow.